everyone, welcome to the Untold Stories podcast, where we unfold the events that led some of the modern successful entrepreneurs to reach prosperity. We want to thank you so much for tuning in, and if you want more content from us, you can follow us on our social media accounts at StartUP Blagoevgrad. Dimitrova and Velin Kerkov are here with us today. They're the founders of Foodobox, an app that allows businesses to sell the food they have left at the end of the day for a discounted price. So hello, welcome to the Untold Stories podcast, and thank you so much for agreeing to meet with me.
Hello.
Hi there, Sophie. Thanks for inviting us.
I heard that you have had a recent development here in Blagoevgrad. Can you tell our listeners a bit more about it and how can they use Foodobox here?
Yeah, we have some good news for you. Recently, actually just yesterday, we managed to register our first partner in Blagoevgrad. It's called Groshe, and they offer their surplus meals from the lunch menu at a discounted price of 40%. So you can grab a surprise box for 6 leva instead of paying 10 leva.
I'm sure our listeners are going to go and buy it now because I know Groshe is actually one of the stores, like the restaurants that people visit a lot.
They have to download the app first from the App Store, so from the Play Store, and then after they register, they'll be able to check out. It would be great if they give location access so that it is easier for them to see what's nearby, but otherwise they can search by name as well.
Oh, guys, you heard the instructions from the founders themselves, so go and download the app. Can you tell our listeners a bit more about the app and how the idea was born?
Well, the idea was born by having me working in another app back in Italy, where I used to study and live for around 4 or 5 years. My first job was in the biggest world leader in this industry. It's an app called Too Good To Go, where I started joining as part of the sales team. And I was there from the very beginning. Like, I was the fifth employee. And 2 years later, when I left the company, it was a very huge startup, like 200 employees or something else, or something similar. And I really loved the idea. But when COVID started, I had to go back to Bulgaria. And then the idea of doing this working, validated business in Bulgaria came to my mind. And that's how I actually met Velin, who is now the co-founder and CTO of the company.
Can you tell me how important do you believe co-founders are and how finding each other was helpful to build the product that we can download today?
So for me, founders are extremely important. Initially, this is basically what is driving the business. If the founders are not a good match, then they will just fail. So once you, I don't have any clear indications of how to find a good founder. It is as if you're looking for a good partner, except that when you work with someone, it is not possible for you to fix in the normal way any issues that arise between you as in a love relationship. So it is even harder. It's only usually once you start building things together, then the bad qualities of everyone arise under pressure, under stress, and yours also arise. So very, very hard to find a good founder, but if you find one, then this is almost sure then that your startup will at least go to seed rounding, because there is an enormous amount of work that needs to be done. You have to constantly learn. So this is maybe something like a prerequisite that the founders really like to learn and to explore, that they are problem solvers, both of them, that they contribute to each other. So in the case of me and Jane, for example, I'm good with numbers and computers. She's good with communication and feelings. So we combined managed to take care of 2/3 of the main business. So this is sales and IT and operations. and I wouldn't have been able to achieve what we have achieved without her. So yeah, this is founders. Founders are the milestone. Also, all investors, they invest in the founders, not in the idea at the initial stage. So if you might have the best idea, this doesn't really matter if one of your founders is how to say like a rotten apple is what we call it in Bulgaria. I don't know if every language has the same expression. And if you don't get rid of this rotten apple as soon as you figure it out, it might be your best friend, but he might just not be suited for the job. Then basically you are not going to achieve anything.
Yeah. And Jane, do you have something to add to the story about the co-founders?
I do agree with Velin completely. I don't think that it would have been possible to succeed and to raise money and to have the startup alive 1 year after the launch without him. And for me, it's very important to go in the same direction, to have similar values and to be driven similarly to your co-founder and to commit as much time, effort, and money, if it's possible, as the other person in the team.
And have you guys always known that you wanted to be entrepreneurs, that you wanted to give all of your time to your own products and, I mean, live a life that is different from most of people's lives?
I wouldn't say so. So I never, how to say, when I came back to Bulgaria after my graduation from the University of Glasgow in the UK, I just wanted to do something. For me, even the how to say, the word entrepreneur did not mean anything at the moment. It doesn't mean anything. So this is like sugar coating for basically someone that just does things and works. For me, I hear a lot of people calling themselves entrepreneurs, and they, I don't know, sell flowers online or something else. Not to undermine them, it is just that it is now like a hype word, this, which for my programmer's mind doesn't mean anything. But I would definitely say that since I came back to Bulgaria, I wanted to be to have ownership in a project, to be able to call the shots, and therefore to receive the fulfillment of actually being in charge of something. And this led to starting companies, becoming team leaders, and generally going into direction of leadership and management. So I would say that no, I never thought I'll be an entrepreneur, and I still don't know what this word means. But I have always wanted to commit and to be an owner of something.
Yeah, for me, it's I also didn't know that, but for me, it was just grabbing a good possibility, a good opportunity, because as I mentioned before, I saw a validated working model established in like 18 countries, and I didn't see a reason why it wouldn't be able to exist here in Bulgaria, although many people were not. Big fans of the idea of fighting food waste because they were skeptical, they didn't believe in the idea, but for me it was that possibility. So, and also I have always enjoyed like startups and not as much as big corporations where there is so many layers of hierarchy, so things just combined.
And how do you deal in those moments of rejection when people tell you, no, the idea is not gonna work?
Well, from my perspective, if you believe, I believed in my idea that much that it didn't really bother me. Also, I'm very stubborn. I don't know if it's my zodiacal sign because I'm a Capricorn. But anyways, I just like proving myself right, and this is more like of a motivation for me. In the very beginning, it was I heard many no's because I was going like doing the door-to-door sales, trying to register our first business partners, And it was not easy because everybody was like, oh, nice idea, but let me check out in a few months if you're still on the market, maybe we can work together. And they were not sure if they wanted to partner with us. It was like a bit risky for them, even though businesses don't lose anything by joining Foodobox, but they're skeptical.
Yeah, unfortunately, there is this stigma still. The Bulgarian, I would say, the Eastern European way of thinking, where it is hard to negotiate with people that are only there for the obvious, let's say, profit. And since we are saving them money, it is harder to prove to the average owner of the shop that we are actually better than him throwing away the food. The reason for this is that we are saving, so they have to wait until the end of the month to see the report from us to be able to understand that in the end they are receiving money for food which actually they had to throw away. And if they do it in the correct way, so as the government has said, then they will even have to pay when they throw away the food. So we are not only saving them the costs of throwing away the food and the organizational costs around throwing away the food, we are actually bringing new money and revenue streams inside their shops as well as new customers. But the problem is that it is the reverse side. So we come from nothing and we bring value to them, and this is hard for them to understand. So the sales teams, and especially Jane, had a lot of struggle in the beginning to convince our first partners and to actually sell the idea to them. On the other hand, so this is where we got most of the no's, I would say. Bulgaria has a very well established and very supportive startup ecosystem, which immediately embraced the idea, immediately found out that this is something that's very nice and would like to support it. There are boot camps, training camps, training programs that will support any entrepreneur, as they say, but basically anyone that wants to start their business into developing at least the prototype phase. They will give you all of the support into, yes, you can do this, yes, you are the great, and so of this emotional part. They will not buy your product if it is not something that they can buy, of course. So you cannot. It is more to get the yeses, at least from one side. We also had issues with the Bulgarian end user, let's say, where we were fighting with problems like, is this food actually edible? So we had this stigma where people thought that since this food is going to be thrown away, and in Bulgarian it is there is a very strange translation to the excess food, surplus food, basically is what we call it in English. But in Bulgarian, it doesn't sound so nice. So people thought that this is food that is very bad, and this is why it's being thrown away, and not because of all of the regulations and other nothing to do with the food, actually. So we fought with this. It was much easier. The end consumer can register and take one and just try. But we found those no's to be also quite demotivating. And yes, on the other hand, what Jane said, you just keep going. You don't care.
And I think it's admirable that you didn't give up, because it is a company that at the end of the day does something good for the environment, that both ends of the party can win from. So, and you also touched a little bit on the subject. So I would ask you to go into a bit more detail about the acceleration programs that you participated. We have an acceleration program here at AUBG, and also a lot of our students, they participate in ABLE Activator and C Activator. So can you tell us a bit more about your personal experience?
Yeah, I can share my experience because I went through the ABLE Activator Accelerator program. This happened immediately after I came back to Bulgaria. This was in 2020, the COVID year. And there were a few reasons for me to apply for this program. Velin was the one who actually told me about this program. He can share later. He knew this, ecosystem from the Harvard macro and microeconomics courses, because the people in the courses and the people in Able Activator are more or less the same. So when I heard of this program, I thought it was a good possibility to learn something in practice, because they promote their course as a very practical 3-month accelerator. And it was true, because I entered it with the sole idea, but after that we formed a team of 5 people. We had to validate our idea with the worst possible ways. For example, they were sending us on the street to interview some people we don't know, and we were cold calling people and all of the things that are out of the comfort zone. We tried them, but it was very, very useful, because it proves you that you're able to go out of the comfort zone, and you collect a very valuable feedback, because it's different to ask a stranger if they like the idea than to ask your mom if she likes it. She will always like it. So there is a book, actually, The Mom Test, a very cool book about this. And the program also gave me the possibility to meet these people, all of these entrepreneurs, some of them living abroad, some of them living in Bulgaria. I got the possibility to work with a very nice mentor from one of the VC funds in Bulgaria, Velizar. If you're listening to this, thank you. So he was showing me the other perspective from an investor's side. He was guiding me, but not doing the things instead of me, of course. And many, many useful things. At the end, we had to prepare for a pitching session. There was like the demo day, where we presented the idea in front of a jury, and so on. But after the program ended, it was very, very difficult to restart, because during the program we had like homeworks, we had deadlines, and everything was so structured. But when the program ended, I was again alone. I mean, the team that we formed during the program was not together anymore, because everybody had their priorities. And Velin decided to join and to form a company, because before that we didn't really register a company. So that's how we actually started developing the real product and building like the business that is present today.
And what would you say is your advice to people who go through acceleration programs? Because many people also here at AUBG, they go to those programs, but after the program has ended, nothing happens to their business. What would you tell to those people who maybe gave up after the program, or what do you think they could have done so that they could have taken away the most from an acceleration program?
Well, my advice is to keep in touch with more experienced people than you, who can from one side share their knowledge, their experience, from other side they can push you, because it's very important to have somebody to keep you going, to discuss with your problems, your struggles. And actually, I since then I have been participating in many other programs, such as Mentor the Young, where you get matched with a mentor that could help you with resolving your current needs and problems. And there we met so many great people, like, for example, Boyan, who is helping us with operations, business planning, and he's also listening to our problems, which is a very nice thing to have.
And are you a mentor or a mentee at Mentor De Jong?
I'm a mentee. Yeah, I don't feel like being a mentor. I can still learn a lot.
No, this podcast also turned into an advertisement for Evo Activator and Mentor De Jong. So for our listeners, go and I mean, it is for free. Just take advantage of those stuff. Can you also tell us what has been your journey with finding investors?
It's been quite a journey, actually. We started looking for investments the moment we incorporated the company and the product. We did this because you need money the money. Something that I find quite so. Yes, Jane can talk about a lot about why all of those startup communities and startup programs are really nice. I also think that they're extremely essential to the ecosystem to motivate people and show them that there is nothing scary. You just have to basically do it. The once you actually get out of them, you are hit by the harsh reality that, as I said, your idea doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is, can you make money to sustain your idea? Can you actually transform it into a business to be able to support your people, to be able to expand, to be actually marketable? And this only depends on your execution. And money is the fuel of execution. Another fuel is the knowledge and the experience of the people. So um, you basically have those three things together that drive the company. And if one of those is lacking, it is a very bad sign to the investors mainly. If you have knowledge and experience, I would say that finding money is relatively easy. It was a quite long process, more than I imagined. But in Bulgaria right now in the ecosystem, there are two VC funds for funding seed rounds. There are two organizations for angel investments. So this is CEO Angel Club and Seedling that is entering the market from Romania. The two VCs are Vitusha Ventures and Innovation Capital. We have a contract with Innovation Capital, and I would say that it's been great talking and having the experience with them. What, on the other hand, we found out the hard way is that it takes, for us, it took 12 months. So our first meetings with Vitusha Venture Vitusha, how was that called? Vitusha Ventures was, yes, August last year. And we closed around August this year with Innovation Capital. And during all this time, you have to support your business. You have to be able to put the money. You have to be able to work. You have to be able to support it in a financial way. You have to grow. The reason why you have to do it is not because I like spending money. It is because the further you go with your own money, the better deal you will get from the investors. So this is something that is also I would say like a truck hitting people that start to work in a startup and to develop the startup. It is that cash is relatively easy to find at the moment in Bulgaria. So the funds they manage, Innovation Capital manages 21 million, and their average ticket is 50 to 100,000 euro. So this means that they can fund 200 or 400, like an insane amount of companies. Basically, everyone that wants to start a business and actually has an idea that is worth investing, it is not just the next bakery shop, then they can fund it. The problem is that if it is too early, if you have not shown any traction, if you have not shown any income, any product, then they will just take a large amount of your company. Once they take a large amount of your company, you then have to use those money to move a lot faster in the next phase to be able to go to a very high valuation, or you're risking that in one or two, basically 2 or 3 rounds down the line, you will end up in a situation where half your company is already sold. And this is when, so seed A, series A, this is like when you get to the millions. If you get to the million and you already have sold 50% of your company, now your company has to be basically evaluated of 15 million to be able to not sell the next 10% for that 1 million that you're looking for. So it is a balancing game, very hard. Also something that we found out the hard way. It was good that we had the money to postpone and to make sure that our business plan is okay, to basically create a package for the investors and sell them only this is what we need money for right now. Another mistake that a lot of people make and we did not make because of all of the mentorship that we get, is that you want to schedule your investment and take as little money as possible, as many times as possible. This is in order for you to be able to charge different evaluations on each round and sell on the best evaluation for what you need. For example, we have 3 rounds at the moment. Maybe in 6 months, basically, are all going to be closed. Each of them is on different evaluation because after 2 or 3 months, something has moved. We have better results, and so for the next investors, we say we already moved, and this is like now you're going to pay a premium, and they are fine. Yes, you moved, so we pay a premium. But lots of startups, they go and get, for example, BonUp is our competitor in the Romanian ecosystem. They got 800,000 euro for their first investment only on business plan. Now this puts them on an evaluation of around 2.5 million, and they have sold around 40% of their company. So once this money is gone, then imagine you are the founders, you already have sold 40% of your company, and there's only 10% more before you become a minority shareholder and you stop having any sort of power over the decision making in your company. So for them, with those 800,000, they have to go into an evaluation where the next million or 2 million or whatever they need to expand will be less than those 10% that they have before the 50% mark for the founders. And usually it is a very bad sign for Series A and Series B for the founders to not have like over 50%, so they don't have control over the decision making in the company. Because basically, if you are a founder and if you've already sold 55%, you don't have control, you don't have the motivation. As I said, the main motivation for people is to, at least for me, it was to be an owner of something and have the decision making power and not have to constantly adhere to what my boss says. And at that point, once you sell over 50% of your company, basically your investor is your boss, and you have to run through them everything that you want to do. So this is another issue with the fundraising that I would hope that people that are listening can avoid. It is hard. You need a lot of cash initially, but it pays off in the long run.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for going so in depth. I'm sure our listeners who are interested in having a startup didn't know a lot of those stuff. So thank you so much for enlightening them.
Yeah, anytime someone needs any help with whatever, they can contact us, me and Jane. Another key responsibility of the founders, in my opinion, is to be accessible to their users and as well as their community. So you have, maybe when you share this, please share our emails and our Facebooks and whatever to people to contact us, and we can point them into directions. We've already passed this. As I said, the Bulgarian ecosystem is very friendly to newcomers.
And Jane, would you want to add something about the investors or?
Well, Velin was speaking a lot about this. The only thing I would add is the value we found in our angel investors, because we managed to get 3 rounds, as Velin explained. One of them is with a venture capital fund, and the other is with angel investors. And these are people who invest their own personal money they have been collecting and gaining somehow. It's not European money, which is incredible that somebody believes in you and in your ideas so much that they invest personal money and they become involved in this project personally. They are people who are very successful, have had businesses, still have businesses, and they know a lot of things and they can share their contacts, their knowledge, and they can be of a great help. So we do appreciate them.
And you mentioned that you are going to Romania, and that you also have a competitor there. Would you share how did you decide to expand there exactly, and how has your journey with expanding to another country been?
So if you want the story behind it, maybe Jane should talk about it, because I
Okay.
will just read the facts and this will be boring.
Yeah. Well, we were speaking about some accelerator programs. I think one of the reasons we decided to go to Romania was that we got accepted to a really, really cool accelerator program called Rubik Hub Garage. And these are some great people living in the north of Romania, in Piatra Neamț. It was like 4-month program where we went through a lot of trainings, workshops. We met other Romanian and founders from Eastern Europe. So that's how we formed some friends and connections over there. This helped us a lot because we are often going now to Bucharest. We participate in some of the biggest startup conferences. Like 2 weeks ago, we attended How to Web. It's like probably the biggest startup event in all of the Eastern Europe. It was amazing, really. No words to describe it. And this is a great way to enter a new market if you don't know any people there, if you don't speak the local language. Before that, we hired our first employee. She is a local. This is very, very important. Local person who is into the food industry. She's a graduate of food technologies and innovations. So this shows she is very much into the food industry. And another reason is actually the reason that we have a competitor. We believe that for the past 1 year, since the competitor launched their app in Bucharest, they have more or less developed the market. Maybe people are more aware of the food waste and loss problem. So this is a very difficult step to overcome in the beginning. So now that the seeds are seeded, we can go and take the fruits. Let's say, I'm not saying it's gonna be easy, but at least people have heard of similar things. We believe we are better because of the team, because of our motivation, and all of the commitment we have, each of us, not only me and Velin, but the team behind it. Like, we're around 10 people, and all of them are young, highly motivated. One of our employees invested personal money in the project, which is really amazing also. So yeah, that's some of the reasons we chose Romania. Also because of the market size. Like, Romania has around 20 million of citizens. Bulgaria has around 6 or 7. So it's more than 3 times bigger. And they say it's more technological, more innovative compared to Bulgaria. So all of these are good reasons to go there. And the market is big enough for more than one player.
Yeah, on top of that, I would say just the most important thing is that the business model should not change a lot with the eating and living habits of Romanian people that live 60 kilometers away from the border is basically almost the same as the one that we have in Ruse, in Varna, where we already know that people care. So I would, and their habits as well. That is very important since our business model relies on people going at specific places in specific time to get this by foot. So we cannot do this, for example, easily in Greece. People in Greece, they tend to eat much later in the day. Therefore, the restaurants just are open until 11, 12, and so the surplus food that is going to be left, it is known around 8, 9 in the evening, and this is quite late. So this was also another reason why we choose Romania and not Greece. Also, Bucharest is, as a city, is very compact. It has an insane amount of, basically it's 3 times the size of Sofia. And Sofia is the best city in Bulgaria to do this at the moment. We were expanding and are expanding in other cities. So as you heard, Blagoevgrad, we also have Plovdiv, we have Varna and Burgas, Stara Zagora, other cities, but there our presence still is not as large, and we are again fighting with all of the misconceptions about surplus food and Bulgarian way of thinking about business. So this is the similarities between Romania and mainly Bucharest and Sofia is what drives us to there. And also it is quite close. You can go by car in 4 hours if it's good traffic.
Oh, you shared a lot of positive things that are happening to you and a lot of hardships. What would you say is the like the hardest thing about being an entrepreneur, and what is the most exciting thing about being an entrepreneur?
Well, for me, probably the hardest thing is that everything depends on you, on the founders. And if you fuck up the things, if you don't commit, if you're not serious, everything will fail because of you. And if you work in a normal company where you're just an employee, you have the 9 to 5 work day, and you can then rest, you can have a normal weekend, holidays, spend time with your family. Well, this is happening really rarely when you run a startup, because there is so many things to be done. There is deadlines, there is urgent and more urgent things than the others. So it's this pressure and the stress that we face very often. For me, it's difficult, but at the same time, I am very inspired by what we are doing. I really love the fact that we are making an impact, and we are starting something from scratch. And 1 year later, we have more than 400 partners, more than 30,000 users, and we are now expanding to a new country, which is simply amazing. And we have a great team behind us. So it's both very exciting and very stressful, but I would never change this experience with anything else, because of the inspiration and the way I am feeling every day.
For me, as I said in the beginning, the most hard thing about being an entrepreneur is to define this. So I have absolutely no idea what this word means. Word. And in this ecosystem, it is used so often, and I would challenge anyone to just ask whoever uses this word what does it mean, and see the difference in opinions, therefore the lack of understanding about it. So everyone calls I find this extremely difficult to deal with, and to talk with people that consider themselves entrepreneurs. You're a businessman, you're a founder starter, you become something like an innovator, let's say, once your company does something that maybe benefits at least 1,000 users, but before that you're just some random dude that has an idea and pays some salaries for me, of course. So this is until I get past this, this is maybe the hard thing for me about being an entrepreneur. And then the sweetest part is actually the fulfillment. Um, I would say I love taking risks. I don't mind bearing responsibility, and those two things combined gives the perfect soil for trying out new stuff, fighting into the marketplaces. I really enjoy meeting more developed people than me that are in higher positions, in positions of power, in positions of having money, having influence, that can influence me to grow faster, to become self-aware, to figure out how they think and how they achieve what they could in a way where I can practice. So having being your own boss is extremely hard. This requires discipline, and people don't have discipline. This goes against human nature to have discipline, in my opinion, and a lot of psychologists. So for me, the most fulfilling thing in the end is to learn from much more well-developed people than me, and take their knowledge and experience and how to say, put it through my hands to see if it works or not. And as an employee, you cannot do this. You don't have the freedom to do this. We, for example, as Jane said, we have angel investors, normal investors, that they share with us processes from their companies that could work within our company to solve a business need well above our business need. And therefore, they are showing us the next milestones before we hit them in order to make our path much easier. And if I am an employee in a corporation, first, I would not think about this because I don't really care. And the second thing is that I will not have the freedom to execute on such advices. While when you are the owner and you can decide what to do, it is very hard, but you have the freedom to do it, and that is what drives me to continue to develop.
And how do you achieve work-life balance?
I can't, so I don't. If someone does, please again contact me, vkerkov@foodobox.com. This is Jane Dimitrova as well. Send us your advice on this, and I said, because we have
Help
the
us.
freedom, we will try it out to see, but you don't have this. Maybe after 5 years or 10, when you develop the company and it's stable, yes, but right now it is you quit the 9 to 5 to work 24/7, the secret rule of the industry.
And do you do something outside of work that helps you, for example, meditating or doing some exercises? What do you do to relax?
My way of relaxation is going twice a week to improv acting. Actually, now in 30 minutes, I have my class, and it's very funny, very different from my daily routine because we are a group of 20 people going there, being us, no limitations, no frame. We are thinking, we are trying to go outside of the box. We are trying not to judge ourselves. We are trying to accept every idea, everybody in the group. So I feel very well there. And on the other side, I try to do some sports. If I manage to wake up early in the morning, I'm very happy if I go to CrossFit training. But it's difficult because I also like sleeping. So it's a trade off. And I'm trying to have my hobbies, but sometimes I just leave them for better days, and I commit to work when there is some more important things to be finished. But sometimes in the weekends I relax. Not always, but I'm doing my best.
I also have been going to acting for the last 5 years. I feel like this is the most important part of my hobbies. I also train guitar and singing, and not as many sports as I want, but during the summer I go to kite surfing a lot. In the winter I go skiing and snowboarding. So there is this active part of the free time, let's say, where it is both free time and learning experience, like the acting and the music part. For me, this is extremely important for the founders to find a way to challenge themselves on the emotional and intelligence level, where usually this is. So as I said, you need knowledge, you need experience, and you need money to run a business. And knowledge and experience comes from age. Therefore, the faster you are able to gain knowledge and experience, the faster you can shortcut time, which is the only currency in our lives at the moment, or in mine. I don't know if others. And therefore, EU and people, I found that founders that are able to constantly challenge themselves and basically learn while they play, like in acting, in musicianship, in exploring the side of your character that you have never explored before, that gives you emotional intelligence, that gives you wisdom into the arts that you can then follow for better leadership. where understanding people and how to lead them is basically understanding you and understanding how you can lead yourself. And through example, this then follows within your team and inside the culture of your company. So, and of course, there is the skiing and surfing where you're just good at this and it's adrenaline and so forth. I also like trucks. I own like 3 trucks, 1 motorcycle and 1 ATV. So whenever I really want excitement, I just go into the into the forest and go through some trees. Amazing.
And I have one final question for you, which is a question we asked each guest. Because the podcast is called The Untold Stories, I want to know, what is your untold story?
That's a nice question. I have a funny story that is not on my LinkedIn profile, for example. It's not work related, actually. When I was 16, I subscribed to a competition. It was like a sprint of 50 meters, but it was a high heel sprint, and it was organized in Burgas by Cosmopolitan, the magazine for women. And I was very excited. I went there with my high heels of like 13 centimeters, and I won it. It was amazing because I got 1000K level for like 7 seconds, and it's like the fastest earned money in my life. So it was a very satisfying feeling, and I'm very proud of it. I liked it a lot.
And I already shared mine. Very few people know that I am learning how to sing. Like, I wouldn't say that more than 2 people knew.
Well, thank you so much for sharing those stories with our audience. I think it can show that, I mean, you are entrepreneurs, you have your ups and downs, but still, I mean, it is important to do stuff outside of work and to be proud of your accomplishments, whatever they are. I think it is extremely impressive that you won a high heels running competition.
Yeah, I'm very proud of that.
That is very hard.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being on our podcast. This has actually been our first episode with 2 guests. So it is a milestone in the history of our podcast.
Cool.
It's been great having you.
Yeah. Hope the people like it. Yeah, I'm looking forward to listening to it.
Well, thank you so much. And thank you to the listeners for listening and tuning in. Bye.
Thank you so much. Bye. See you.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you so much for listening. If you liked the episode, make sure to share it and follow us on social media at StartUP Blagoevgrad for more awesome content.